Uh,
Okay. Gotti. A lot of like JLA is just like very absent from um my reading. Like I need to read Wade's JLA. I most definitely need to read Grant Morrison's JLA. It's kind of like I also need to read Just League uh International JLI. Yeah, there we go.
Oh yeah,
Yeah.
that's the booster team.
Yeah, and I mean like you know me, like I love fun, and that book looks like a ton of fun.
Yeah, I actually been collecting. I started collecting the JLA Morrison run. I think I have volume 3 and 4.
I have volumes 1 through 5, I think.
Yeah,
They're
in
awesome.
they're in like pretty good trades now. We should probably just like bite the bullet and do it, or maybe just go get that DC app and see if they're all on there.
A bunch of them are. They're really interesting. They do have one character that I think is bonkers, and that's because it's Morrison, which is oh my god, I lost his name right now. The Angel.
Azal.
Is that-
What was?
It's something like that.
I thought you were going to talk about Aztec, the Ultimate Man.
Oh no, they have Aztec. Aztec's actually they brought Aztec back, but it's a woman now. She was in the Wonder Woman book a little while ago.
Was Aztec the analog for that they or the character they used because they couldn't get Hawkman? Or am I thinking of a different character?
Aztec is like the guy, or now it's a woman, has like a giant, like Electro-looking headpiece, but it's like a sun, and has like the power of. It's like a living computer. It's a very similar to like Nova in Marvel, except it's like an ancient Mexican thing that has to do with gods. But it's like a living computer that like is fueled by like the heavens that are part of like ancient Aztec culture. Yeah, she showed up in the what was the Batman, the book where it was
Zuriel
Zoriel, yes.
is the Angel Man.
Angel. Yes. But Aztec was in the book that they did recently where it was the Batman team with Vixen, the Atom, the what's his name? Ryan Choi, Atom, Killer Frost, and then the Ray. I can't remember what book that was. That was before No Justice, though. So, and then they moved her. She was in Wonder Woman for a minute, and now she's gone again. Although I was reading, I messaged Alan this the other day.
Fucking Bunker came back.
Yeah, Bunker is back. He showed up in the Red Hood book.
I mean, it's fitting because that character is created by Scott Lobdell, who's writing Red Hood. He's been writing Red Hood for nearly
since the New 52.
yeah,
for
nearly 8 years now.
Yeah, so like that book has been kind of hit or miss. Like I liked when Batwoman showed up. The current story is like meh.
I read like the first couple issues, of like when they did Red Hood and the Outlaws were Bizarro and Artemis.
Oh, I
and
like
I was
that
like,
run.
yeah, and I was like, oh, like this is like surprisingly like really fun. And then like I don't know like what it was, but I think I just like forgot that book was coming out, and then like I just like heard some story about what happened in that book, and I was just like, oh, this sounds really bad. And I'm like, and I would ask people, I'm like, what happened to this book? And they're like, I don't know, man. Like it started off like super strong, and people seemed to really like it, and then it just like took like such a turn.
Well, Dan DiDio doesn't like the word fun.
It's funny you say that because man, I read a really fun DC book this week.
Oh, which book was that?
Naomi.
Oh, I just read that today too.
Yeah. Okay. I think I'm officially like on Wonder Comics. Like,
Young Justice was awesome. Naomi really rocked. I'm gonna have to go and pick up the other ones just to see if they all.
Yeah, Wonder Twins is not out yet, and Dial H for Hero is not out yet. But
Yes.
I am
What
very
was the other book?
Well,
It was
it
Young
was
Justice.
yeah.
no, it was three. I thought there were 3 books that already came out. It was Young Justice, Naomi, and something else. And then
I believe those two are the only 2.
so there's only 4 total. I thought there was 5.
There may be a fifth one announced one day.
Okay. Because then if there's only 4, then I've read both of them. I thought there was a third one that already came out.
Yeah, I'm looking up the story right now, but I believe it's only 4.
Because there was a preview for Wonder Twins in. I don't remember what book I was reading today. Might have been Naomi.
Yeah, Young Justice, Naomi, Wonder Twins, and Dial H for Hero.
Okay. So yeah, I've read. I really like them. Naomi looks real interesting, and it brought up an interesting. I like that she's seeing a therapist. I like what the crap. There's my book. I like what the therapist kind of brought up. The like Superman. What'd she call it?
Being an orphan.
Yeah, but like she said, like it was like Superman syndrome. She's like, oh, what? I want to have powers. It's like no, it's the ultimate orphan story.
Yeah,
it's like oh, I was like yes, awesome.
Of being special, and I love like that. It's like this small town in Oregon, and they're like talking about how like just one day, like Mongol like is in this fight with Superman. They land, they fight for like 17 seconds, and then they just like zip away. And it's like the talk of the town. But it's like there's also like kind of like this really good mystery aspect of like she knows that there's like something special about her, and it's like super kind of weird that like no one's reporting on this story. And
Yes,
people are like, and people just chalk it up with like, well, I mean, like Superman does stuff that's special all the time. Like, why would they report on this? You know?
yeah, because technically, like they weren't even actually like they were there for 17 seconds. So it's like, well, there was a battle, but yeah, they say that there's no news of the battle whatsoever.
Mm-hmm.
And I did like also how they had him come back.
Yeah, and like picked up the. Well, okay, so are we to? Okay, so in Young Justice issue 1, there was like this big mystery of like where's Superman? Where's Superman at? Like where, you know, like where'd he go? And we see Superman in this book. Like, are we to assume that like all of the Wonder comic books are like kind of in the same timeline? Because he gets in this big fight with Mongol, and he shows up later. He doesn't say a word. He like they don't even like show his face. And
they say that he talks to the chief of police, but we don't see that.
But it's like the one. Okay, so I'm looking at the page. It's like you see like him lifting up like this fire truck, and you only see him from the back, and you see like part of his smile, and then you see like this faraway look, so you can't like really see like any other defining features of him, and he flies away. It's like, so I'm just kind of like wondering, are they like kind of building up this big mystery of that there's like something up with Superman, or are we just to assume that they're all just like kind of like their own thing? Or does it take place after Doomsday Clock, where actually something does happen to Superman?
Well, everything like Young Justice is gonna be like a completely different thing since where that ended, like that first issue, because they're not even where they were.
Well, yeah, they're
now a completely separate thing. And then, but so did you read the preview for Wonder Twins?
I did not, because I was like,
okay.
You know, because it was like one of those things where I was just like, oh, I'm just gonna, you know, go into this next book.
So the preview for it has them going to high school, obviously, and then they're talking about, again, they're being really weird, and they're doing their introduction, how they're aliens, like they're not even hiding it. They're in their Wonder Twin outfits, and then like, okay, let's go. Like they're gonna go start their part-time job, and it ends with them showing up to the Hall of Justice.
Mm-hmm.
So like, I don't know if this is supposed to be, because they haven't used the Hall of Justice in
a long time.
Books in a really long time. So I don't know if this is some weird pocket universe or.
I mean, this is a modern universe, though. Like,
yes, they have cell phones and the internet and everything.
Yeah, like God, like you know, like when I was talking about like the issue 1 of Young Justice, where I was like, man, like some of the paneling is like kind of weird, and the action just kind of doesn't make sense sometimes. Like, Jamal, Campbell is so good on this book. Like, all the characters look really good. The action's great. The paneling is great. The colors are great. Like, I was just like, because like sometimes like when I read a book, I'll like kind of like start like you'll have like the dialogue and you're just like, oh, like I already know like what this is being said before it's even said, because like this the time of the book where like certain dialogue like this would happen. And like I just was like super engrossed in Naomi. Like, I thought this book was great.
Yeah, and I think that the mystery that it kind of sets up is a great mystery to like want to know about. Like, it
Yeah,
got me really excited for that.
it's like, who's Naomi? Like, who are her parents? Like, what? Like that? Like, the big mystery is that, like, the last time a big superhero thing happened was the day she was born or adopted, or
Adopted.
yeah. And this one guy, like, no, like the entire town doesn't seem to know, like, or remember like anything that happened at that event, except for this one guy, and
Yeah,
that she
you can't.
seems to know.
Yeah, you can't tell if they don't know or if they're like the entire town is like hiding this thing.
Yeah.
And it does. It's very interesting because obviously me and Alan do the Smallville show. Like, there's a little bit of that Smallville aspect where like it's a kid knowing something about them is different, and like dealing with her friends in high school, which I did like the kind of chatter between like the younger friends. And like the one
Mhm.
hipster girl is like, oh, like, yeah, but like, what if like he doesn't come back? Is he really that good of a person? And then when he came back, she's like, okay, Superman's rad. And talking about how her like other hipster people won't even like talk to her because she thinks Superman is rad.
I mean, but that's kind of a thing within comics too. It's like Superman is rad, but then you also have like people are like, man, Superman's not that great. It's like
Well, yeah, because he's the blue Boy Scout. So
I yeah, I felt like that was like really authentic dialogue, because it's like
yeah, that's
it's
what I'm
even
saying.
like
Like, I
comic
liked it.
fans. Yeah, yeah,
Yeah, I liked it. It was very like, as opposed to like the Teen Titans book, where it like the writing for younger characters comes off horrible,
Mhm.
and like a 50-year-old man is writing it. This did not. This felt fresh, which I was
What?
surprised.
Yeah, yeah. Like, I mean, Brian Michael Bendis, like I've kind of says is Brian Michael Bendis, but
David
like
Walker.
Dave Walker also like co-wrote this book with him, and he also co-wrote, or he was like the writer of Power Man Iron Fist, which I felt like it felt classic, but also just like felt like so new when that book was coming out. He's also I picked up the issues for the Bitter Root, and I have not read them yet, but I'm also like kind of like very excited to just like kind of just like binge like a bunch of those issues like in a row, because unfortunately that's just how I've been reading comics lately. Is just like I let stack of issues pile up, and then I'll just like go right through them. And yeah, I think Dave Walker is like a total gem. I'd love to know like kind of like how they um split up the writing duties on this book, like if it was like more cooperative. Like, I know, like I was like hearing some story about how it's like they're really good friends, they meet each other like every Friday, or like whenever, for food. Like, they always are talking to each other because they're both Portland natives. They both teach classes here in town. So it's just like I'd love to just kind of like know like who did what heavy lifting for this book.
It'll be interesting. Like, I guess to me, like if Bendis is kind of running this whole thing, I don't know how hands-on he could be with all four books. And
Yeah,
if there's like one in particular, like to me, if it's him, I would think that the Young Justice book would be the one he'd be most concentrated on. But who knows?
I mean, he's writing like all those Jinx World books. He's writing 2 Superman books and 2 Wonder Comics books.
I don't know. I guess we'll see as stuff goes on. I'm sure there'll be like
Well,
at some point.
he's also going to be working on the quote unquote Leviathan project.
Oh yeah, that just got like kind of talked about this past week, right?
Yeah, what is that? Because I didn't read the story.
Okay, Leviathan is a It's a crime organization.
Okay.
Didn't it have to do with Talia at one point?
It was part of it was a storyline that I think Grant Morrison did in like the Batman books.
Yeah, I think it
Yeah.
came about in the Batman Inc. time.
Yeah, that's another one of the full runs they have on DC Universe.
Yeah, because I think the Leviathan thing had to do with when they created, I can't remember the character's name, but that weird giant clone, or I don't know what you even call it, of Damien that had like the baby face. I can't remember what they called that character.
But they dropped a hint of it about it in one of the Jinx books.
Wait, what?
Yeah, they did.
The Jinx World books have nothing to do with DC though.
Exactly. That's saying that's what made it weird. That made it weirder.
Wait, so they're tying in Jinx
No,
World?
no, they're not.
Oh, he was
Oh.
just making a tease, like an homage to it in that book to tease like fans.
Well, it's to hype. It's a little bit of a tease and a hype to build up for this event that he's going to be working on, which I'm a little worried about because Civil War 2.
Yeah,
I mean,
I think they said this is going to take place like way like after they close out everything else. Like this will be after
Heroes in Crisis, Doomsday Clock.
oh my god! And
They're
that
still-
that was the thing. Like I like Civil War 2. You can't blame really on anyone because it's like like I don't blame Rick Remender for Axis. Even though like it's like people like will complain about Civil War 2 being so bad, and I'm like, oh, it's not Axis bad. It's not Fear itself bad.
Yeah, didn't that just break Mad Fraction?
I mean, Mad Fraction hasn't really worked for Marvel since. Neither has Rick Remender.
No, I mean like just in general, like in comics general.
I don't know really like
I mean, the last thing I remember him working on was him and Aja working on Hawkeye.
Oh, well, I mean, like Matt Fraction's doing Sex Criminals, but like he's also like busy trying to get like Sex Criminals and some of the other stuff he's worked on into like TVs and films where and honestly that's kind of where the big money's at. But the thing about like Leviathan, and they're already teasing like this event, and I'm like, dude, like Doomsday Clock's not even done, and like who knows, like, and I'm like,
and it was announced
that book's not even going to be done, but yeah, well, I'm not even sure that book's going to be completed by the fall. It's like I don't even know why you're like setting like seeds for people to be excited for this other event when I'm just like, can we just have Doomsday Clock happen and then have like about like 8 months worth of comics where like we just kind of just settle the dust.
Yeah.
I don't know. I think it's like it's one of those things in comics between especially the big two that they just love these giant crossover events.
Yeah.
And they pull in so many like such good numbers.
Yeah, well.
Yeah.
Because people complain about event comics, but then they always buy them.
Well, it's like when we went over the numbers, like look at one of the books that was out for like 2 months. It was one of the top 10 selling books of 2018 was The Batman Who Laughs.
Yeah.
Issue 1. Which issue 2 was fucking awesome. I read that. That came out last week, I think.
Alex Maleev is going to be drawing this book? I don't know about that.
Those kind of things are so far out that stuff changes so much.
Well, I mean, Alex Maleev is a good artist. Like, I don't know if Alex Maleev is a event comics artist.
I mean, I like his style. He's no East Side Ribic.
Well, I mean, not a lot of people are East Side Ribic, but I mean specifically, like, Alex Maleev. Like, I think his best books are all like, crime noir, like kind of just like small kind of, it's like a lot of his books like don't do a whole lot of action, because like or very limited amount of action, because I think he's like more of like a set piece kind of guy. He lets characters just kind of like stand around and have like I hate this word, but atmospheric, kind of tone to it. Like, when it comes, like, that's why like Russell Dutterman doing like Realm of Kings is so great, because like that guy can like make you hyped for an event, and I feel like event comics need to kind of get you hyped, and like he like Alex Maleev is not what I would consider like a hype artist, but like, hey, sometimes like he surprised someone.
Yeah, just to go back to the Newsrama bit, Bendis he's been incorporating Leviathan into recent issues of Superman in Action.
Okay.
And
I've not been reading any of that.
Yeah, I'm the DC guy. And I'm not a Superman guy, so like I haven't been reading those either.
The first time I saw Ronald Zard show up, I was like, yeah, this ain't for me, dog.
Yeah, I'm just not a big Superman fan, and I had liked it initially where they were going, and now I'm just like, I don't know.
Like I like Superman, but like I don't necessarily need to know about another guy who actually destroyed Krypton. Like that stuff does not interest me at all.
Yeah, no, especially once they got rid of
Gleason and Tomasi.
Yeah, when they wrote off John.
Jonathan.
Yeah, because that was like the most interesting. That's when I liked it in Rebirth.
Well, they brought him back.
Yeah, but he's all older now, isn't he? I feel like I looked at a thing and he like he shows up and like John is like 15 now or something ridiculous.
Yeah, it's like I saw that they like aged him up again. And I was like, yeah, or they aged him, and I was like, no, I'm good. I liked Superman as like being a father and being with Lois, and then being this really cool family.
Yeah, and it also like played really well when like they would do stuff with Batman and then Damian, and like the two of them had their book, and then when they would do stuff as a group, or like the four of them, it was like, oh, like they're two guys who are still like the biggest, baddest superheroes in the world, and it's their two kids who are trying to like grow into their shoes. And then John is this super naive like boy that Clark and Lois have been raising, and then Damian is this like psycho but like has a good heart, and they're trying to like kind of balance each other out. I just always thought that was interesting. It was similar to like when again, annoying thing is when they did like that Batman Catwoman Lois Clark book for like a couple issues. Like those were
when
awesome.
they go to the fair.
Yeah.
That book those two issues were really good.
Yeah. So like when they do that stuff, it's like that having Superman be this family man like plays really well with, especially with some of the other characters, since they currently don't have kids anymore. But it's again that kind of thing where they don't like aging up or aging their characters.
Damien's still like they haven't aged him up, right?
No, he's still, I would say, like 12 or 13.
I mean, is he still the same age he was during Robin War?
Pretty much. Maybe he's like he's old enough where he'd be like in middle school. He's like middle schooler age. Because I would say Tim is like 18 because he's going to college ish. Although he finally is back in the comics, thanks to Bendis, because he's been basically disappeared for like almost a year. Because he's on that Young Justice team. So, yeah, I would say he's significantly old. Tim is significantly older than Damian still.
And Dick is Rick.
I can't deal with. And what's bad is I've been keeping up on that book, and I actually like the concept of like these other Nightwings. They just don't need to be Nightwing. It would be interesting if they were their own thing.
Yeah, they did something similar to this like 3 years ago.
Yeah, because it's like a team of 4 people. One of them is a set of twins, a brother and a sister, and it's like a cop, an EMT, a firefighter, and I can't remember what the other person is.
As I said, they've done this before, but We Are Robin.
Oh yeah, that is exactly But that was like little kids. Like having them be adults and having them be like kind of trained professionals is a little different. I do also love that they're in like all of Dick's old shitty outfits, except for the main guy. Because one of them, I think it's the girl, the woman, she's wearing like the disco suit, the disco Nightwing suit.
The one from Crisis?
Yeah. Where he has like the golden stuff.
Yeah.
Yeah, the original Titans or Teen Titans, or the new Teen Titans costume.
So, going back to Naomi,
Mm-hmm.
is it where would you rate? No, I mean, like, what would you rate it?
Like out of what?
It doesn't matter.
I mean, I don't know. Like, I think it's a 4 out of 5. Like, I think it's a really great first issue. Like, it's not super dialogue heavy. It's the art's great. It gets you to like know these characters like pretty fast. Like, yeah, I think it's pretty good.
Because I subscribed to, or just recently subscribed to, Superior Spider-Man, Miles Morales Spider-Man.
I also read the first issue of Miles Morales Spider-Man. That book's also good.
Friendly Neighborhood Spider-Man, and Ironheart.
Mm-hmm.
Haven't had a chance to read any of them yet, but as I have about 500 plus books or issues to catch up on.
Oh my god.
But I finally finished that that Star Trek Q special trade, and it got dark.
Oh, interesting. Well, Star Trek does have a tendency at times to get really dark.
No, I mean, like, Q brings the Kelvin timeline characters to a future in which they're in which they disappear and don't do all the things they did in the Prime universe. And it ends up going horribly wrong, and Q was at the beginning. He needs someone to toy around with, and it ends up him needing their help more than ever. And I mean, Quark sold out Kira, and they killed her, Dax. They they just destroyed Worf. But it had a good ending. It had a nice ending where Q became even more powerful. and the last page of the book is him popping back into the Prime timeline to specifically to back to where he started, with John Luke.
Oh, that's interesting. So, like, they just kind of set things right. That's kind of what if you ever read the Shattered Grid Power Rangers thing, is what they do with that too. So when it ends, they kind of pop back into, like, I think right before the movie starts.
No, I mean he pops back to where he was
At the beginning of the comic?
at the beginning of the story arc.
Oh, okay.
But this
So
time he's okay. In Deep Space Nine, there's a wormhole to the Gamma Quadrant, and there are multi-dimensional beings that live in the wormhole. And since Q is another multi-dimensional being, the essence of one of them was after Ben Sisko died. He was containing the spirit or the essence of the prophet. It went into Q, and he became even more it was. I mean, Q's pretty powerful as it is, so making him even more powerful.
So he's basically like a god now.
He's higher than God in terms of power. I haven't gotten a chance to read the Q conflict yet, which is the storyline that brings together Deep Space Nine, TOS, Next Gen, and Voyager. But I am excited for it.
Well, that's awesome. So I think, do we want to go over some of these news things, or do we want to keep going into what we have read or going to read? Because we're doing this a day later, so instead of we've already picked up probably most of the stuff we would normally talk about that we were going to pick up.
I mean, like, I can talk about two other books I read, like, super fast.
Sure.
I read Miles Morales Spider-Man #1 by Saladin Ahmad and Javier Garron. It's like basically just like a new #1 with Miles Morales. Does like a really good job of kind of like updating you like what the status quo is of Miles Morales currently. Has like a really nice 2 pages where they kind of just catch you up to speed on everything. It was super fun. I kind of like, where Miles is at right now. He's in, just hanging out with his friend Genki. Like, his parents like know he's Spider-Man. There's like kind of like this thing that happens towards the end where a group of people in like these helmets show up to steal a bunch of stuff, and somehow like the Rhino is also there, and the Rhino is just like kind of gets into this fight with Spider-Man, but like it's kind of like one of those things where like Spider-Man's like, oh, like you're the Rhino, you must be like, doing something bad, and like Rhino's like, oh, you're like that kid Spider-Man. Like, well, I'm not really like doing anything, but it's like him like looking for his niece, but it's like uh, they just need to talk to one another. But stuff gets flipped, and then they get captured. I don't know if I'll like. I'm definitely going to like keep on reading it, but I'm kind of debating on whether I get stuff as single issues or if I get them in trades, because I get too many trades, and then I don't read them, and I feel like if I get single issues, I feel I'm more compelled to like read stuff. But I think that's just my own personal problem. If I also
No,
just need to get the digital reader.
no, I'm with you with that. I have like a bunch of trades I've gotten. I have like 6 that I have not read at all,
Mm-hmm.
except for one that I got today based on your recommendation a couple weeks ago. We were
Yeah.
talking about. I picked up Descender and I read the volume 1 today, and it's goddamn awesome, and I'm super into it. And it's super. The art is awesome, but the story is fantastic. It's kind of Blade Runner-y, but also
Like AI.
yeah, like AI, but like the kind of like Alien in the fact that it's like the way the space is broken up.
Mm-hmm.
Like I'm trying to think like how I would describe like the way that they would have like their spaces, but it's very similar to other stuff. Um, it kind of reminds me of Gundam and kind of the way their space is broken up in a way, because it's like
Mm-hmm.
colonies. But it's, actually, you know what it is? It reminds me a lot of like Mass Effect. In like
Yeah.
yeah, but like I really dig it. And Volume 1 ends on like an interesting cliffhanger and some cool reveals. So I'm gonna have to get all of it, and I will finish it all before Ascender comes out, which I think we talked about is in like April or May.
April.
Yeah.
I also read a new #1 from Boom Studios under its Boombox label. Like I really like Boombox. Like it's kind of like their teenage slice of life kind of line of books, and I like most of them. So I end up like usually at least trying out the #1s at least. And this book was called The Avant Gardes, and it's basically this girl named Charlie Bravo who is going into uh, basically like an art school, um, and she's like looking at like a bunch of like clubs to join, and there's like a basketball sports group called the Avant Gardes who are like trying to assemble like a basketball team. And like she used to play basketball, but she doesn't anymore. And there's like some reason why like she doesn't do it anymore. You kind of have to. It's more likely like has to do with like something where she just can't trust teammates or something like that. But like the art's like pretty cool. By Noah Hayes. Writing is pretty cute by Carly Hudson. Um, like it's like a really good like teenage like slice of life book about you know uh a you know liberal arts basketball team. And the title of the book is super fun. Like I'm like a sucker for a good pun, and the avant-gardes I think is a pretty choice pun. So I picked it up for at least that, and I had fun. Again, like I don't know if I'll pick up. I'll definitely probably won't pick up the single issues, but I'll probably pick up the trade like once it's out.
Yeah, it definitely sounds interesting. I'm not like a big slice of life person. I think we've talked about this before, but that sounds really interesting, and I'm trying to expand my
Mhm.
reading list.
I think there's like better stuff out there for like slice of life, like definitely. So like it's like if you're not like a big slice of life guy, like I wouldn't, and you're like trying to broaden your horizons, that wouldn't be like the first one. I'd be like, oh, you should go check this out. Like if you're like looking for like a Boom Studio slice of life book, you pick Giant Days, um, but that one's not bad. I also read the Umbrella Academy Hotel Oblivion Part 4 or #4, but. Uh, I think it's like if I like were to try to explain to you the things that happen in the book, it would just be super confusing. So,
Yeah, I have never read Umbrella Academy. It's something I need to do before that show starts.
yeah, Umbrella Academy Volumes 1, 2, great. If you like those, check this out. I think it'll be a book that I'll just keep on reading and start kind of like putting pieces together, but it's still it's just like everything's out, it's just like right out of your grasp and you're trying to kind of figure it out. But I think it's fun.
Awesome. I'm like a sucker for a mystery book. So like
It's not quite a mystery book, it's just like the team's split up and they all are doing their own thing and you're kind of were just thrown in. um and so you're like kind of told a story without any solid footing. So it's not a mystery in that or you don't know what's happening because it's a mystery. You kind of don't know what's happening because you haven't gotten like the full story.
Oh, so it's kind of like 52, not New
Yeah,
52, but like
or
52 or Young
it's
Justice.
or Gerard Way's Doom Patrol.
Okay.
It's not as obtuse as Doom Patrol, but I'm having fun.
That's awesome. Was there anything else that you wanted to talk about?
That's it.
Yeah, the only other book, and then Alan, you can go next if you had anything, was I read the previous week's Justice League book. So they have like 3 different ones going on. So this is like the regular Justice League, which currently is a team of Martian Manhunter, the newer Hawk Girl, which I can't remember her name right now. It's Kendra, I think.
Kendra Saunders.
Yes, Kendra Saunders, John Stewart, and they end up going to Thanagar Prime, and there they are introduced to Shiara, the older Hawk Girl, and they're basically like, how the hell is this a thing? Because how are there 2 of you when you're like the same person born over and over again?
Yeah, it's also called the Hawkman conundrum.
Yes. So it goes into this whole thing, and they end up.
Do they do the thing where they see each other and they point at each other like Spider-Man?
Spider-Man. There's definitely like a what the hell is going on, because the Kendra has like metal wings, like Archangel style, and they have stuff written on them. And this all has to do with like the overall big story in all the Justice League books. But it is kind of interesting because when John gets there, he finds out that the big secret is that they have on Thanagar the only other surviving Green Martian in existence. And it is called like the Keeper because it is a position passed down. If you've ever read The Giver, where it basically it like holds all of the knowledge of Mars, and it drops some like huge reveals for the upcoming story. If you've been reading like all the No Justice stuff, like what some of the symbols have meant, and it gives some real interesting backstory that changes kind of Martian Manhunter's origin a bit, like original origin, how he got like sucked here from like a scientist. I don't know if you guys remember that.
That sounded dirty.
Yeah, where like it's one of those things where like they did something and they transported him.
Yeah, they were trying. The scientist was doing a test, and he accidentally teleported John Jones from Mars to Earth.
Yes, so there's some revelations.
And he had a heart attack and died.
Yeah, so there's some revelations about that situation that changes the context a bit, and I don't know if this ties into Doomsday Clock, but there's definitely some semblance of that because it has to do with the creation of the universe. So, but I did really enjoy it. I enjoyed the kind of way they have dealt with each other. And all this kind of has to do with how Dark Knight's Metal ended with this welcome. And, yeah. But it's pretty interesting. I like Martian Manhunter as a character, so this book is like very heavy with him. Other than that, that was the only other thing I've read. Do you have anything else, Alan?
Yeah.
Okay.
I read issue 5 of Heroes in Crisis.
Oh god, yeah. I just flipped through that before this.
There were some things that were good. There were some things that were bad. Something I found pretty funny was the Protector character.
Oh yeah, that guy. That's a character I've never even heard of.
I think he's a new I think he was created for this book.
Okay.
Don't do drugs, or else. and then it just you find out that he was on drugs. He's been on drugs while he's been saying don't do drugs. But the sad part is that he's been living his life as the or else part.
Yeah, I thought that was interesting. I know I saw the part with Commander Steel. I think that's his name.
Oh man, I was just I lost it at the way he talked.
Yeah, so if you don't know, Commander Steel is one of the characters that's kind of in Legends right now, and he basically just does like because they have that confessional thing, and he talks about being killed and then being resurrected and then killed again, and he talks about his when he was resurrected during like Blackest Night and then killed again, and then it's like super dark where he's just like, yeah, I wonder if this time it'll stick, and then he like kind of.
I'm talking about. I'm talking about the. No, I think you're thinking of. Your Commander Steel isn't Nate Haywood. That's you're thinking of Citizen Steel.
Oh, okay.
Commander Steel was the JSA character.
Oh, okay. There's so many guys named Steel. It's the one in the red costume, though, right? I just said the wrong name.
You just got the first part wrong.
Yeah,
but
it's still it's the character from Legends.
Yeah, he's written all his dialogue is as if he's is basically as if he was frozen in time from the 30s and 40s and just woke up now. I loved it. Mainly because of stuff like that. He uses the word Donnybrook.
Oh yes, yeah.
Then there was the big revelation that that Booster and Harley may not be the actual people who committed the acts of those horrible acts at Sanctuary, as time travelers you can tell their age by their half-life, or by their half-life in their RNA, and he was testing Wally, and the Wally West that died at Sanctuary was 5 days older than the Wally that came back in Rebirth. So it's looking like a frame job.
It also says that the bodies that we have seen and the people that are dead may not actually be dead.
Yeah.
I'm shocked.
Yes, I know.
This sort of feels like the most recent issue of Doomsday Clock, where it's now everything's starting to come together.
Yeah. Well,
I hope to God it's starting to come together. It's like 8 issues, right?
9.
Yeah, like it's issue 5. I hope to God things are starting to come together by this point. God, I feel like Doomsday Clock. I read like I flipped through that last issue and I like they still only got like 4 issues left in that series, and I don't even know like if it's really even hit second gear yet.
No, like that last issue is the only one that was kind of like doing stuff. Like it's I don't know, and then that book got pushed back as well.
That's why I think Doomsday Clock's gonna have a secret 13th issue.
Oh, totally. They probably can't figure it out. It's just like this whole Heroes in Crisis thing. Just if it comes out that like nobody's actually dead, if like nobody actually dies, it is the biggest like writer jerk off material like I've ever seen. because it doesn't like there's no other reason for this to be kind of happening except for like Tom King to be like, oh, wouldn't it be cool if I just killed off all these characters?
Yeah, it'd be like Fear itself, where like the end of the event happened, and then they did 3 issues that completely made all of like the sacrifices and deaths and choices at the end of Fear itself like it was negated. It was like 3 months after that event happened. They were like, you know what? Like we're not gonna like act like this even happened. You know what? Go. We're sorry, everyone. Just go back to what you were doing.
I still can't believe that event happened to begin with.
Yeah.
But going back to Heroes in Crisis 5, they held funerals for most of the or for all for the people who died. We saw Blue Devil for the first time in quite a while.
Not true.
Really?
He has been in like the last 3 or 4 issues of Justice League Dark.
Wow.
And they actually explain why he is. For some reason, they have decided now is the time to explain where all these characters have been. And basically, they say, I can't remember the character's name. He's the guy that owned the bar, like the magic bar.
The Oblivion bar?
Yes. That had the sword. And at some point, he died, and he left the sword in the realm. Yeah, and Nightmaster left the sword in the realm he protected to Detective Chimp. And Detective Chimp and Blue Devil went there at some point in the past to kind of like set things right. And Detective Chimp tried to use a magic spell to bring back Nightmaster from the dead and basically unleashed an apocalypse there, and then just bailed and left Blue Devil there. And so like the Justice League Dark Detective Chimp was like, I don't want to go back there. And then they go back there, and that's why Blue Devil's wearing like Game of Thrones outfit in this book and has a beard. It's because he's been trapped in this like Game of Thrones medieval like era for years because of Detective Chimp. And he's become king of that world.
Wow. And there's more confessionals with Booster where he mentioned...
it starts off with the confessional with Booster, which I thought was
can't
good.
see very well. It got me a smudge. From all-time Batman killing himself in front of me because of something I did. It was a whole thing. But when I put him on, even though I'm 100% sure nothing's there, I'm telling you I'm positive, okay? But there it is. There's just something wrong. It's not clear. You can't see through it like you need to.
Yeah, it was from the...
There's blood in the way.
Yeah, the Batman book before the wedding, and it was Booster's gift to Bruce, was to go back in time and save his parents. And basically the entire world goes to shit.
It's basically a flashpoint.
Yeah. And so the book basically ends with Bruce Wayne being so like distraught over what has happened, and that he just shoots himself in front of Booster. And the blood splatters across Booster's face. But comics are going to be lighthearted once Rebirth happens.
Oh man. I've heard like bits and pieces of all of that, and I was just like, man, this doesn't sound good at all. I'm gonna go check and see, because I was like, wait, they're writing the Oblivion bar again, and I was like, man, it's like a super underrated group within like DC is the Shadow Pact, and I was like, man, like where are some of these characters up to? And I just like read this like the Witching Hour story arc. That I guess
the Witching Hour was actually awesome. Yeah, that was the first part of the Justice League Dark.
Yeah, like Nightshade shows up and she recruits Tracy 13, and like Witchfire is there, and like the Enchantress is also there, and Manitou Dawn shows up, and I'm like, this sounds super rad. Why am I not reading this?
Yeah, Justice League Dark has been amazing because the team is Zatanna, Wonder Woman, Detective Chimp, Swamp Thing, kind of Constantine. He shows up at some point, and then Man-Bat.
I think that was like the thing that turned me off on that book is I heard Man-Bat, and I'm like, man, if there's like a zero negative character that makes me not want to read a book, it's Man-Bat.
He's been
But
kind of interesting because he's in this weird state in the book where he's like half turned. So he's like has full faculties and he has like a bat face, but he's like kind of human.
Okay,
It's very strange.
I have the image in front of me of Commander Steel. Okay, and here and this is it verbatim. Then I was it again. Dr. Light, nice little lass, killed me good that time. Then they put my body back in JLA HQ again until there was a Donnybrook there and Superwoman got a hold of me. She was using my leg there as a club, swinging it this way and that, hitting people. If you can imagine. I woke up this last time alive again. Don't know if it'll stick or anything. Don't know what I did. Don't know what did it. Probably won't, knowing my track record and all. Then there's also stuff with Solstice.
Oh yeah, that was like another character that I was trying to remember. So like yeah, they've been between the couple of books DC's been doing, they've been like, so Solstice was a character that was in that Titans run with Bunker, wasn't she?
Yeah.
Yeah. And she just like did when that team broke up, she just like vanished. And so she's another one of the
she got
people
older.
Killed. Yeah, they aged her up.
And her big emotional problem is she's lost control of her powers.
Well, she like never really had super control. Like she can't look human again. Is like her problem.
Yeah,
she can't like maintain form.
She's at first she starts off as she did when in just played darkness. Then she goes back to her human form. And she says, "There, I did it. I told you. No." And then it starts happening again. I tried. And she just screams.
Yeah, I think in one of the other books there was another. What was the bug girl's name that was in that Titans team?
Oh, I don't remember.
Because I think she gets killed in the first issue too.
But
I'm sorry.
There's also an awesome shot there's not an awesome shot. There's an awesome set of panels when Superman is giving the speech. We see Adam Strange, Mr. Terrific, and something that was like a little Easter egg in I think issue 3 was there. Tom King is writing Lois the way she was in the same style Margot Kidder played her in Superman the Motion Picture. And there's a certain and Superman is drawn in a certain way where he looks like Christopher Reeve. And then there's the ending, which is of Harley, where she's talking about the Joker. So she says, "So Mr. J said, why the chicken cross the road?" And I said, "Duh, to get to the other side." And he said, "No, to get to the moron's house." Then he said, "Knock, knock." And I said, "Who's there?" And he said, "The chicken." Then he started hitting me. He hit me good.
I don't like this at all. This is dumb. I just like want to especially like say that like I made like a joke on Twitter the other day, because someone who writes for the AV Club brought up that how they were sad that DC got rid of the Batgirl the Burnside costume. And I made like a snide joke that I was just like, man, like if I was like more tinfoil hatty, I would think that the reason why they got rid of the costume would be so it would be a lot easier for them to like have Barbara in these like sexy poses and like also show off her fucking bullet wounds a lot easier. And then like I saw like that image from the newest issue where it's just like nip shot, boob sock, butt shot, and I was like,
I did
I was
not
like,
like that.
I was joking. I was like, you know what? Like, I'm giving it too much credit. Like, that's probably not the reason. And then I was like, oh my god, that's the reason why. Like, there's like no other reason for them to have changed the costume other than it was like, we need a costume that is more that is like more
Form
like her.
fitting.
Yeah, more form fitting for this big, huge book that she's gonna play a part in. That's like, I'm like, really? Like, this is the reason why we're not doing Batgirl Burnside anymore? So, like, she could show off her bullet wounds in this sanctuary place and hang out with Harley Quinn and, like, I was like, yeah, I'm not having it at all. I don't think it's good.
Yeah, it's so weird. I know I feel like we hound all the time on like this book, but it's so weird to see like the difference in what King is writing, like from one book to the next. Like, I don't understand how the guy that wrote Mr. Miracle is writing this.
Yeah, it's like night and day.
Well,
I don't understand.
keep in mind that Brad Meltzer wrote Identity Crisis and then wrote Justice League, and it was very different.
Well, Brad Meltzer can also just like eat the most biggest, giantest, fullest bag of dicks because he also wrote that book about Buffy and Angel fucking through a mountain.
Oh, yeah. I've heard about that.
So it's like, you know what, like Brad Meltzer gets like no play in my book.
Right. I think we can get into some of these news things before we close out.
I read one. I'm halfway through reading the first volume of Walking Dead.
Okay.
Because I just finished doing I powered through episodes 3 through 5 and then 400 days of the Telltale Walking Dead game.
Yeah, like, man, season 1 of the Walking Dead video game is very good.
Yeah, I mean,
I will never play the rest of that game. I know that they're like trying to work on they picked up like a new publisher to work on like a final season.
Skybound Games is working on
unless
3 and 4.
Unless Skybound Games has also paid the wages of the people who are not paid or were like let go from Telltale game, like I'm like not interested in any like pickup of Telltale stuff. Like I've like washed my hands of that.
It's a shame because the engine or the new engine that they're using. Oh my god! I posted I was watching. It was a flashback. It was in season 2. They had a scene where Clem gets shot by a Russian.
What?
It's very, very long. It's very complicated.
But what I'm saying is, like, what was this a part of?
The second season of the Walking Dead game.
A clown shoots a guy?
No, Clementine gets shot by a Russian.
Oh, yeah. And like, season 2, is that the one where they, like...
With Michael Madsen?
Yeah, yeah. I remember that now.
Yeah, also Scott Porter, the guy from Friday Night Lights.
And, like, Kenny is back in the group, or, like, they meet up with Kenny again. I'm just like...
He turns out to be the big bad of the season.
Well, Kenny is not the big bad of the season. Kenny is, like... Kenny is like he doesn't make any situation better, but I wouldn't call him the main villain of season 2. I think me and you were talking about two different characters. Like Kenny was from season 1, who had the son who became bit and then became insanely angry.
And he returned in season 2.
Yeah.
Where the same thing happened.
Yeah. Dude could not control his temper.
And apparently in season 3, the Kenny flashbacks, they just... Oh, man.
Yeah, I don't even remember anything that happened in season 3. Like those games were like season 1 was really good, but like season 2 was like okay, and 3 was just like diminishing returns.
That's because the two people who directed it went and started the Campo Santo. The Firewatch guys.
Oh, okay. I mean, Telltale was still doing like okay stuff. Like,
Yeah, Wolf Among
I
Us.
I did not like Wolf Among Us at all, but I know people like that game. But like
Tales from the Borderlands. Tales from the Borderlands.
Yeah, Tales of the Borderlands is the best Borderlands game. Like I like that. That's like like I don't know if that's an unpopular opinion, but that's an opinion I will defend to the death.
A lot of people share that opinion. I mean, I mean, I had to spoil. We couldn't. I wanted to say what happened. Like, I wanted to say something on Let's Horror Games podcast because we were talking about Telltale, and me, Emmett, and Graydon were talking about Telltale, and I want to talk. I was about to talk about Scooter and and his fate.
I mean, like, you can go ahead, man, but like, I don't remember like anything about like the Walking Dead games after season 1.
No, I'm talking about Tales from the Borderlands.
Oh, Tales of the Borderlands. I mean, like we can talk about it, like off air, but like I think this is going like a little too long so far.
Well, basically, what I'm trying to say is in season 2 and 4.
Mm-hmm.
Lee comes back. There are flashbacks to Lee.
Yeah.
Where Clementine is like he's sort of become her moral compass in her head.
Mm-hmm.
And my God, that man, almost every single comment on the video was remaster all the games using this engine.
Mm-hmm. I would rather them just like go and make something new with that engine than like.
Yeah.
I don't know, man. Like I feel like trying to do anything new with The Walking Dead at this stage of the game is just like, I mean, I don't know, man. Like I don't know anyone that's talking about the comic anymore. I don't know anyone that's like very excited for the games. Like that Walking Dead game that just came out, like just came and went. I guess I heard it was awful. I hear no one speak anything positive about the show anymore.
All right. Well, let's get into some of these news things. John found us a bunch of news. I think we could talk about at least a couple of these movie ones real quick. So, Ben Affleck is officially out as Batman. Officially. They're still saying that they're making a movie, the Matt Reeves movie.
Yeah, the that's Batman noir and focus on multiple villains.
So hopefully that means it's more like since noir means detective, which is like an angle they have never done with Batman.
Yeah, because Matt Reeves said he wanted to make the world's greatest detective.
Yeah, like hopefully it's like smaller and it could concentrate on like one or two, like not simple is not the right word, but like less cartoonish villains. Like it would be awesome if there was like a Professor Pig and like kind of more serial killery, like real crime kind of stuff, as opposed to like
Penguin.
Penguin would be interesting.
Penguin fits. Like I don't know, man. Like I feel like you can do like all the Batman villains you want, but it's like it's all about context and tone. You know, it's
Well,
like
there's some of them that like I don't need to see Mr. Freeze in like a thing that's a detective. Like he's not that
What killed the
character.
dinosaurs?
but no, but like you joke about that. The one of the best issues of Gotham Central is like the Mr. Freeze issue, where like he's like creepy and like he like all the cops are completely outclassed and they're like trying to figure out like kind of like what to do about this. You know, but it was like they took like this guy who's like could be cartoony, but they like adapted him in a way that totally fit the tone of the book that they were doing. Like the reason why Bane doesn't work in The Dark Knight Rises because it's like his tone
Because
is so all over the place.
He's basically not Bane.
Yeah, he's basically not Bane, and he's like this weird old British man accent, and he ends up being like kind of a nobody within the movie.
Yeah,
Because
they
he's
completely like nerf him. Like at the end, it's like, oh, we just one, he beats him by punching him harder in the face, and two, we find out all the plans are not his.
you know, it's like you could do Two-Face and the Riddler in really cool ways, but
Oh
it's like,
yeah,
but the Forever version, it was like, well, it was a time and place for that movie, I guess. You know, it's not what I would do, but
I still think that Riddler is not terrible. The Two-Face is terrible in that, but I don't think that Riddler is too awful.
yeah, because I mean, the Riddler that they did for that movie fit the tone. You
Yeah.
know, Two-Face's
Like-
character doesn't really fit the tone.
Yeah, what I would love to see is like some lower, like if it was like a Professor Pig, a Mad Hatter, and who else would be like, I'm trying to think of like someone else who's like kind of that like second and third tier Batman villain.
I mean,
That would be-
yeah, I think it's like also you just need the villains to fit like whatever story that they're telling. Like if you know, it's like it'd be cool if like Zaz shows up. It'd be cool if Penguin shows up. But it's like, you know, Penguin shows up in that he goes to Penguin for intel, or like, hey, like, do you know about this thing that's happening? You know, in the way that like, you know, you have like this criminal underworld that he kind of goes and like gets information from. You know,
Well, like I would love to see them do like him posing as Matches Malone.
Ooh.
that'd
like
be cool.
to go into like a thing. But like I don't want to see necessarily characters like a Killer Croc, like people who are like super augmented. You know what I'm saying? Like people who are like, it would be more interesting to me if he was to go after like it could like a Hush would be an interesting one to do.
I would rather see like because like I saw like IGN and they're like, oh, like these would be like 7 great stories, and I'm like, man, if you're gonna do Hush, you might as well just do Dr. Hurt, because I think Dr. Hurt's like a better version of Hush,
Well, there's
of
like
of the guy who's like mysterious and you're not really sure who he is, but like he's also tied to, you know, Bruce Wayne's past in some way, or he may not be. He might also just be the Bat Demon.
yeah, well, like I feel like Hush works a little bit better because of like his direct ties to everything. But
Yeah.
I don't know, like he would be a good like villain, like that's pushing everybody, like moving the chess pieces, and like a reveal at the end, and that's like kind of like a teaser for a second movie.
Mm-hmm.
But I wouldn't even mind like, and it's part of like the Arkham games, like those side quest things. Like if you just stuck to like the side quest for a movie, it would be interesting. And even if like, okay, you have like a couple of villains, and then there's like this weird like other things that he keeps finding, like a side thing, and he doesn't know how it's connected, and then it ends up being connected to like I would love for them to just drop like little things like, oh, like they stole like a Dr. Langstrom's like some research for like this thing, and just kind of like as a tease. Like I think there's a ton of things they could do with characters we have not seen. Like I kind of don't ever need to see a Joker again, even though we're getting another Joker movie, like a Joker
year.
movie. Like I could go without really seeing another like Two-Face for a while. Like, there's a lot of characters. Like, I think like Batman has such a huge rogues gallery. Like, I would love to see a ton of other characters.
The KG Beast.
KGBs would be awesome.
They also announced that this will be coming out June 25th, 2021. Also, the Suicide Squad movie has its release date of August 6th, 2021. And
Well, see, that's the thing. Like that, the cast for that movie is like, oh, there's two characters I would actually love to see in a Batman movie. In this movie, and why are they in this movie?
Who?
Black Mask and Zaz.
well, no, that's Suicide Squad. You're
Oh,
thinking
no,
Birds of
no.
Prey.
Yeah.
Oh, they're different things
Yeah.
at
Yeah.
this point. Oh god.
Yeah. So Suicide Squad is August 6th, 2021.
Oh, this is the James Gunn thing. I forgot.
Yeah. And then
that should be.
and then DC Super Pets was announced.
Yeah.
Well, it's an animated thing.
Which, I mean, cool. Like, that kind of goes also with, like, the second story where, like, I guess to chase that Spider-Man into the Spider-Verse dragon, there's, I guess, a Batman Beyond animated movie in the works.
And
And
the
there's
art and the concept art looks horrible.
Oh, I like the suit in the one. I think like from what you can see of the suit looks good. I don't like the designs of like the art of the face looks bad. But again, it's probably like super early on. They're just saying like 2022.
Yeah, I mean, these are character concepts, so like it's probably nothing like super official at this. It's official, but it's like they're still in a conceptual phase for like coming up with character designs. But I think it's like weird that everyone has like this gray tone to them. Like I kind of hope that's like something that they keep. But I don't know. I just think it's like weird that it was like, why weren't you guys doing this like years ago? Like why is it like why does like this entire industry have to be like super reactionary that's like when like one thing succeeds, everyone else has gotta like try and chase it. Like why can't you just why can't you do it yourself? I don't know. But I mean, if they do a Batman Beyond movie, that's cool. I hope it works. And it's not just a thing that they're just doing to, do it. There was also a reveal, or like not a reveal, I guess, but like a short clip of Birds of Prey. With,
I did not like it.
I thought it looked fine. Like I kind of have like a DC TV kind of vibe from it, but like I think it's like also supposed to kind of like, it's not it's not professional looking. It looks like like they just kind of like filmed it on set having fun. Like I'm gonna like kind of like wait to like an official trailer for it, but like I love Birds of Prey a lot. I want this movie to be good, very much. Like it's got a bunch of people I really like in it, and this is a movie that is being made, post Shazam and Wonder Woman and Aquaman, and so like hopefully it's less Suicide Squad and more of like kind of like doing something like that's not the Snyder version of DC.
I would see it, but the Harley Quinn character or the live action version of Harley Quinn is sort of painful for me to see because my brother's wife, who I considered more than that, more like a sister, passed away a few months ago. And she loved Suicide Squad. She was very into, she wanted to know everything about the Harley Quinn solo, or the Harley Quinn movie. It's just too painful to think of, just to even think about watching it.
I mean, that's completely fair. I mean, I, you know, yeah, I mean, if it reminds you of a thing, then, that's completely fair. But, let's see here. Where did someone leave? Yeah, someone left. I don't know if, let's wait a little bit until he gets back. Oh, he's typing. Okay, so since he's not really sure like how long it could take, there's only like um two more stories I kind of like want to talk about. Oscar nominations went out. I don't know if you care about any of them.
No, I do.
But basically, like within the confines of this show, um, Into the Spider-Verse was nominated for Best Animated Feature, along with Incredibles 2, Isle of Dogs, Mirai, uh, which is the new Hosoda film. He did Summer Wars, and Wolf Children, and The Boy and the Beast. I've not seen Mirai, but his stuff is pretty good. And then Ralph Breaks the Internet. I'm personally hoping that Spyran wins that a lot.
It's it's probably my new favorite animated film.
Yeah. And then the big nominee for this show would be Black Panther, which was nominated for Best Picture, Best what was it? Sound editing, sound mixing, production design, original score, original song, costume design. So, a lot of like kind of the cool like technical and like art driven stuff. And for Best Picture, it was nominated along with Black Klansman, Bohemian Rhapsody, The Favorite, Green Book, Roma, A Star Is Born, and Vice. And I think there's like this thing right now where people are not like really thinking that Black Panther has like a chance to win. But I think like this year's Best Picture nominees are just like kind of not. It's not entirely strong, and I think like a lot of them have like a lot of baggage to them that kind of keeps them from winning. Like Bohemian Rhapsody, along with like all the stuff that's going on with Bryan Singer right now. Like
Yeah.
I don't see that winning. The stuff with Green Book, where like the writers has come off as like a total dickhead, along with like Green Book just being like a throwback to just like a style of movie that I don't think like it's like that driving Miss Daisy kind of vein of, oh, like, like this is an Academy, like what an Academy film kind of used to look like. But like I don't see the Green Book being a winner this year. I don't think A Star Is Born is strong enough. I don't think Vice is strong enough either. So like, you have Black Klansman and Roma and Black Panther. I don't think Roma's a Netflix movie. I don't see them nominating or like having a Netflix film win Best Picture when you still have a bunch of like old fuddy duddies, who are super against streaming platforms right now. And so that basically is The Favorite, Black Klansman, and Black Panther. I would like to see The Favorite win. I've heard it's very good, but I think like if Spike Lee was ever gonna win, it would be for Black Klansman. But I don't know, man. Like I think Black Panther has like a really good shot to win. I like it. Also, just like recently won Best Ensemble Cast for Screen Actors Guild, which is like pretty strong. So, But it might be like one of those things where it loses Best Picture, but it wins like score and original song and costume design, which is fair. I mean, it should win costume design and production design because that stuff is off the hook. Like, I don't know. Like, what do you think?
Wasn't it also nominated? What? I know there was a superhero movie that was nominated for VFX.
Visual effects. Oh yeah. Avengers: Infinity War was nominated for visual effects. That category is Infinity War, Christopher Robin, First Man, Ready Player One, and Solo: A Star Wars Story.
Yeah, I think Avengers is winning that one.
Yeah, I have not seen First Man yet, so I can't say. Even though I like that guy's work, he did Whiplash, which is like I think one of the better movies, of the last couple of years. And I've not seen Solo yet, but I imagine it looks like a Star Wars movie. I can't imagine it looking too bad. But I saw like the previews for Ready Player One. I didn't think that movie looked very good. So yeah, like I don't know, man. Like they'll probably throw a bone in Infinity War.
All I know is that if Black Panther does not win, things will not be right the next day.
I think it depends on like what ends up winning. I think if the favorite or Black Klansman or Black Panther, or even Roma win, I think those are all like kind of like strong choices. I think though if you get like Bohemian or Green Book or Vice win, like I think you're just gonna have like a lot of like really salty people the next day,
They'll be
especially
right if
except especially if Green Book and Bohemian Rhapsody win. It's like I do not understand like why they thought these were because like Green Book's not even like a well like reviewed film, and Bohemian Rhapsody is not like a well reviewed film. Like really, like the only like really good reviewed film, like the top reviewed films like in this entire thing are The Favorite, Roma, and Black Panther, and Black Klansman. Like a lot of people like Black Klansman, but like you know five of these movies got like super middling kind of like average reviews.
yeah, yet A Star Is Born, people are willing to die for that movie.
Yeah, I mean, it resonated with people. Um, hello.
Can you hear me?
Yeah.
Okay. Like Craig was still recording the whole time, so were you guys talking or no?
Yeah.
Okay.
We talked about Oscar nominations. We talked about I talked about basically how I think Black Panther actually has like a pretty good shot of winning this year.
I think it'll get something.
Well, I think it's a shoe-in for like the technical, like the production designs for original song, original score. It'll lose original song to the Gaga song, but like costume design, it'll totally win. But I was like basically talking about how I think like it's not a particularly strong field this year. I think like a lot of the films have like huge baggage against them in some way. Like Bohemian Rhapsody and Green Book, I think for pretty obvious reasons. Star is Born, I think for kind of obvious reasons too. Vice, didn't get like didn't really necessarily like the world on fire that I think the Academy kind of like thought it would. Roma is like a Netflix film, so
Yeah, it
I don't.
depends. I feel like Roma's most likely to like do stuff, but then if it doesn't, it's only because it's a Netflix film.
Yeah, so I was like, I think like the three kind of favorites are Panther, Black Klansman, The Favorite. And The Favorite I've heard is very good. I still need to go see it. And Black Klansman, it's like if Spike Lee was ever going to win,
This is the
it's
time.
this is this like Black Klansman's like the movie he kind of wins for. But I think it's like if you are the Academy and you want to get people like into your show, and like it's not like Black Panther wasn't well reviewed. Like it was one of the best reviewed films of the year.
Yeah,
It was
my big surprise with it was that Michael B. Jordan wasn't nominated.
Yeah, like I
Of
mean,
all of the things, I thought that was the one thing that it would get.
that's like kind of like I think the big dig against it is that it was like it wasn't nominated for any of the main actor roles. It wasn't nominated for best director. But this week it did win best ensemble cast for the SAG Awards, which is a huge boost for that movie. And I think like yeah, I think coming off of like the Golden Globes and you hear like Bohemian Rhapsody won like the big honor of the night, and you're just like, what? Like it did seem like too many people were kind of like especially with the Bryan Singer stuff, it was just like I think that movie kind of poison.
Yeah, I don't understand how like anybody wants. I mean, I feel bad for the cast and the crew that worked on that movie, but like, what the hell? Why are they still giving that guy movies?
Like Rami Malek will win lead actor, and I think that's the only major award that Bohemian Rhapsody wins.
Yeah, and I have not seen the movie. I've heard mixed reviews on it.
The one review I saw is that it affects the memory of
Freddie Mercury.
Yeah.
Well, also from what I've heard, they like really shy away from the stuff that would be really interesting, which is.
I mean, that's like 1A. I mean, that's 1B for me, of why I don't see it. But like 1A,
the singer stuff, yes, absolutely.
Yeah, and I'm like, I'm not gonna pay money to go see a movie like that. Like, I'll go, like, I might like try and find it online for free, but like, I'm not gonna give this guy money for it. It's the same reason why like I'm excited for a Red Sonja movie, but then like. Bryan Singer directed Red Sonja movie. I'm like, yeah, no thanks. Like, that can just like fuck off forever.
Yeah, I think it was on one of the Phantom Zone podcasts. I was like, oh, is Superman Returns the most problematic movie of all time now?
Because of Singer,
and Spacey.
Oh, yo, dog. Oh, man.
Honestly,
I forgot Kevin Spacey was in that movie.
I forget that movie exists. Because it's such a whatever movie. Freaking Kumar is in that. Was it Kal Penn? He has a non-speaking role in that movie.
He's just henchman.
Well, I mean, like, he also, like, quit acting for a little bit after that.
Yeah, work for Obama.
Well, to work for Obama, yeah.
Yeah.
But he had been doing, like, that was already post, like, Harold and Kumar, post him on House. Like, he was a big name. I guess he just wanted to be in a Superman movie, and they just gave him a non-speaking role.
I guess. I don't know.
Yeah.
Like, the unfortunate thing about Superman Returns, it's like, it's too much like the Christopher Reeve films.
Well, it's supposed to be a direct sequel from 2.
But it's not bad enough for people to remember it. Like, people will remember Man of Steel for a very long time because of how bad that movie is. And like
from what I've read, it's a like sequel to the Donner cut of 2.
Which was bad. That's a bad idea. That's an awful idea.
Well, because nobody knows that. Like, the Donner cut only came out on DVD like the year that this came out.
I mean, it's not just that. It's like they're making I say this, like, and now, okay, at the time, they're making a sequel to a Superman film that came out like 25 years beforehand. And they kind of like don't evolve the character in any way or any of the other characters in the film in any real way. And they just feel like they've been kept in a time capsule. And it's like, that's not, I feel like for 2000s era superhero stuff, it's like, that's not what you do. But then like, I'm like thinking about it at the same time, I'm like, man, like Fury Road was like a sequel to a 15-year-old film, but at least it had like the same people involved.
Yeah, all but one, but yes.
Yeah, and
he was in movie jail at that time.
Yeah.
He still is.
Is he?
He's actually not anymore, and it's
I was gonna say I don't think he is anymore.
He is in my eyes, and my people's eyes.
Yeah, well.
That's a whole nother story.
The last thing I pulled up was that DC laid off 3% of its staff. They're currently restructuring their comics brand. And like some of the big names that were cut from DC was the senior vice president of sales, trade, marketing, and John Cunningham, vice president of consumer marketing, Eddie Scannell, and then vice president of art director Mark Chiarello, which is actually like really sad because like man, like so I actually like kind of just didn't realize like this guy's work until like people were like kind of lighting up my Twitter feed with like basically stories about like how great this guy was, like how influential he was, like you know how important that like artists like thought of him as, and they like start talking about like projects he's worked on in DC, like you know it's
Wednesday
like
Comics.
Yeah, he worked on like he's like one of the main guys behind Wednesday Comics, Solo, which is like one of the most underrated like DC miniseries I think of all time. He worked on Batman Black and White. He's like the one of the reasons why like uh uh oh my god, why am I forgetting his name? Uh oh my god. Darwin Cook did New Frontier, or like pitched New Frontier. Like it's like I can't imagine like DC letting a guy like that go. And hopefully he lands somewhere else like pretty soon.
Honestly, I hope Marvel snatches him up.
Yeah, I mean I think someone will definitely like pick him up. If he already hasn't found a job already.
Because I already know 3 people who I would immediately fire at DC if I had the choice given to me right this second. Jim Lee, Dan DiDio, Bob Harris.
Yeah, but they're the guys like in charge, so that's kind of hard.
Yeah.
Like it would have to come from Warner Brothers on high.
I mean,
actually, you know what? No, I keep Lee. I'd keep Lee, get rid of DiDio and Harris, bring back Paul Levitz.
I don't know, man.
It's not like there's a modern day Erwin Donfeld.
I think I don't know, man. Like I don't know, like kind of like what you do with DC. I mean, here's the thing: we started off the show talking about like Wonder Comics, this great thing, like last year, like Young Anima, I thought was super cool. Like they have like really good sparks of like really great stuff. Like I'm really excited for Female Furies. Last year they had Mr. Miracle. They're doing good things. It's just it's like the top of the pyramid of like DC storytelling, where you have like your Heroes in Crises, your Doomsday Clocks, your Justice Leagues, your Batman. Like kind of just feel like a little directionless, and like, and not in a way of like, oh, like I'm like kind of excited to see like where this goes. It's just like, based off of like DC Rebirth one shot and how it's counteracting with Heroes in Crisis is kind of counteracting it, and then Doomsday Clock is doing its own thing, and now you have like this Brian Michael Bendis event that's after that, and it's just like I don't understand like how like where this is all leading to, and it's not making me excited in like a mystery way. It's just like it just makes me feel like you don't really know what's like where to go with it.
No, I completely don't think they have any idea where to go. And something weird is like I feel like this all started. I don't think it has anything specifically to do with this, but when they changed their offices from New York to LA, like I feel like that's when stuff started to get really weird at DC. I don't know why, but that's like a kind of marking point for me.
What was the name of the editor that didn't like? I don't know if he was like. I don't know if he was let go or he just left before they moved. It was a big controversy because he was an editor. He was an editor.
Are you talking about Eddie?
Not Eddie Berganza.
Okay.
He ended up going to Marvel to stay in New York, and they didn't they took away his credit on some of the stuff he helped with. So DC can be pretty scummy. And then there's the whole thing with how there's no way Mark Waid will ever come back to DC. The state of comics.
I mean, here's the thing. If a book is bad, I just don't read it. You know?
Yeah.
Like, there's like books I'm excited for at DC, and I'm excited for those books. You know, it's like when people were shitting on Marvel about Civil War 2. And I'm like, yeah, that book's bad, but I mean, like, hey, there's these really cool other books that like have nothing to do with it. But because like Civil War 2 is like the face of the company, or like Secret Empire is the face of the company, you know, people just equate like, oh, they all must be bad. Like, oh, what a shit time for Marvel. I'm like, well, yeah, that book sucks, but like Runaways is really good. And that book has nothing to do with like Secret Empire. So I just tried not to like. I'm excited for the books. I'm excited about. I don't want them to get canceled.
Yeah, I just buy the books that I know. Like I buy the books that I like, and then I read some other stuff in other ways. And then if I end up liking those, then I go out and buy those books to support.
Oh,
them.
thank God! Thank God! Thank God! Thank God! No,
Thank God,
not
what?
that. I'm on Newsrama, looking at the April solicits. Gene Yang is taking over is the guy replacing Lemire on the Terrifics.
Oh,
Okay.
No, because I feel like he got a bad deal with the whole with New Superman getting canceled after 28 issues.
I mean, you. I don't know, man. I don't know how much of a bad deal you can get after having like 28 issues of a series. Like,
there's definitely been worse.
If that book got like 6 issues, like that's a bad deal.
I mean, like the Static in New 52, and you got like 4.
No.
Yeah.
It was canceled at issue 6, and Mark Bernardin, who
From Fat Man on Batman.
Yeah, Fat Man on Batman. I mean, or as it's now called, Fat Man Beyond.
Wait, that guy was writing Static Shock?
He was taking
he was taking over when it got canceled. Like they gave him the job to take over, and then it got canceled like days later. So like he didn't even write he didn't even start taking over. So I think one issue he wrote, it was like the last issue was his.
No, he wrote 2. He got
2.
Yes, 7 and 8.
Yeah. So by the time the book was already dead in the water.
Okay.
Well, he was a writer at like EW and like a bunch of other stuff before that, and he's like a film writer. He's done like a bunch. He's not just like a guy. Like he had been
it's not like Kevin Smith doing.
Oh no, this was way
Batman
before he did
Cacophony. It's not like him doing Batman Cacophony and getting fucking
His
Steve
buddy.
Dave to draw it. God, that book looked awful.
No. I hate to be the nerd, but it was actually the fanboy.
Yeah, I'm Walter Flanagan.
Yeah.
Like, it's just like to this day, like, I can't believe that, like, Cacophony and the Wandering Gry, like, shipped with that artwork. Because it was like, I'm like, this is like some of the worst art I've seen on a major title in a long time.
Well, they never finished that story.
Yeah, it sucks. I'm glad.
Yeah.
I hate when stuff doesn't get finished, even if it's not good. But is there anything else we want to talk about, or can we?
Oh, that's it, man.
All right. You want to do quick plugs, John?
Yeah. You can find me on Twitter at John_FN_Seiler, SEILER. We announced a new book this week, because I work at Faku, and we announced a new book that I am very excited about. It was actually a book I pitched that we should do, and it ended up being approved. It's from an artist named Konchiki, who's really good. They just do like great comedy, and I'm very excited to see like people start reading the chapters and see like what they like about it.
All right, awesome.
Wait, what's it about?
It's called it's from an artist named Konchiki. And the book is, I believe, called Love Style. And like Konchiki just does like really funny, expressive like stories like that I think are just like super fun and kind of laugh out loud funny. Great reactions. And it's like I've been like pitching for us to do like patches or stickers involving like the different art, like different panels from this comic. I'll put like I've shared some of the pages on my Twitter if you're like interested in looking at them, but I'll put the link in our Discord that you could like directly look to. And like the panels I also have on
I'm just gonna check on Comixology.
it's probably not on Comixology because the book will not probably be in Diamond for a couple months.
Man, I was gonna subscribe to it.
This is a book that we're publishing.
Oh, okay.
Like, so it'll be on our site, for sale in about a month, and then like about like 8 months from now, we'll put it into Diamond.
Okay, I'm interested because I'm kind of sold.
Yeah, it's also like 18 plus. It is an adult book. If you're not a fan of adult books, just ignore me. But yeah, that's my plug.
All right. Well, you can catch me, Alan, and John on some recent episodes of Legion of Tunes. That's part of the Los Horror podcast empire. And don't forget to rate, review,
No. The Los Horror podcast conglomerate and concern.
Oh my god. Okay. Yes, conglomerating concern. And we recently watched.
That was a Simpsons reference.
We recently watched the second set of Young Justice episodes. So that will be one episode coming up soon. And then we talked about, specifically me and John talked about the new Brawley movie. Alan was watching Smallville in the background. And then me and Al, speaking of Smallville, do a podcast on Smallville that comes out every Tuesday. We just wrapped up season 2, and we will be starting season 3 really soon. And Alan,
you're not going to talk about what we're doing? What's the bridging the gap?
Yes, so like we did between season 1 and 2, in between 2 and 3, we are going to watch the terrible pilot for Wonder Woman starring Adrian Palicki.
The NBC one?
Yes.
Yep.
Whoa.
I only made it 5 minutes in. I couldn't do it, but I'm gonna have to go back and watch the whole thing.
Oh, I've seen it all. It is shockingly bad.
Oh, well, if you want to join us, let us know. And
Go ahead. Sorry.
I was just going to say, and Alan, you have another podcast that you do. It's called Los Horror Games.
Yes, where myself, Emma Watkins Jr., and Hunter Davenport, and either and where it's either us or we're joined by someone like Lou, Connor Irving. Actually, no, he hasn't been on the show yet. Fuck. Graydon, Anudis. We talk about. It's actually very similar to in style to this show, which I still can't believe that I didn't put. It took me months to put two and two together. What else? Subscribe to Los Horror Games podcast on all platforming or not platforming on all podcast services. Check out losaro.wordpress.com. Josh Miller just put up a fantasy developer feature on how to make a good Superman game, and by God, he did some deep cuts.
Oh, that sounds awesome, and that's on loshorror.wordpress.com.
Yeah, he mentioned I forgot Titano, I want to say. The giant gorilla or the giant ape with kryptonite vision. Nothing. All right. Don't forget to subscribe to also the Los Horror Games YouTube channel. Every Thursday at 6 p.m., a new episode of Star Trek Evolution goes up. The next episode is episode 5, Desperate Measures. And every Sunday in February will be the entirety of, or episodes 2 through 5 of Telltale's Walking Dead Season 1. And I'm debating whether or not to include 400 days in that month as well. So.
Awesome. All right. Is there anything else, Al?
Oh. I will be pimping out the show on Phantom Zone. By the time this comes out, it'll be last week's Phantom Zone. So look for that.
Awesome. All right. So I think that just about does it for us. So you can, we'll check you next week. Adios.
Bye bye.
I love you.